Namaste, Christi. Welcome. And we can start our session today. I think
Wonderful.
today you have some questions and you want to talk about Kundalini, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I've been loving all of our sessions. Like I told you before, I can feel the energy, everything that we've talked about. I feel it being activated, and I'm
Yeah.
so excited to be learning more. For the
Excellent.
purpose of the upcoming documentary, I had a few questions that I wanted to ask you, but I need to pull them up. I think it's going to be better if I pull them up on my computer.
Yes, yes,
Just one.
yes. Sure, 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 sure.
Perfect. Here we go.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, in your experience, what is a Kundalini awakening?
Okay. First, let's examine the word Kundalini. What is meant by Kundalini? I personally think of Kundalini as a potential source of energy, or if you like, think of it as a battery that's available to give, provide energy for different things in life. Anything that a human being does, anything that is done in a human form, is actually powered by Kundalini energy. So, someone is walking, someone is talking, someone is seeing the processes of the body. Ultimately, it is still Kundalini energy. But the thing is, Kundalini energy, if you're thinking of this as a battery, think that the battery needs to be constantly supplied with energy so that it's charged. And where does this charge come from? It comes from the universe, of which we are an integral part. So the universe is more than happy to supply the energy that is needed for this body not only to function, but to reach its highest potential. See, remember one thing, there are billions of creatures in this world. I mean, on Earth, forget about the universe. On Earth alone, there are billions and billions, probably trillions and trillions of creatures. But human beings, numbering close to about 8 billion, not a small number, but still relatively a very small number. 8 billion human beings are the only creature that actually have the ability to use this Kundalini energy
Wow,
to raise their consciousness.
that's very special.
That's very special. Raising consciousness, there can be no greater purpose to a human life than to be able to raise their consciousness. And if they can do it with intent or with conscious effort, it's even better. It does happen. Certain activities help us raise our consciousness. Kundalini does tend to rise. But for that, now remember that the Kundalini energy should be available. Because of wrong lifestyle, because of leakage, etc., very often this Kundalini energy gets depleted. Now, there may be experts who may not agree with what I say, and that's perfectly all right. This is the way I see it, and I have my freedom and reasons to see the way I do. I say it's depleted because it's just not available to rise to the highest levels of consciousness. That means something, it's like, the electrical wiring, for example, at home. If the wiring of the source, let's say, is 200 volts, if you try to run the house, or if you try to operate equipment that's pulling, say, 400 or 1000 volts of energy, then something is going to stop working. Maybe something will crash. Something similar happens with Kundalini energy. It's been allowed to waste away, leak away, and the the pathways that would allow this energy to be recharged, because of worries and negative lifestyle, etc., these pathways get blocked, and the recharging does not happen as efficiently as it should. I hope that's a very long answer, but I hope you get an idea
Yep.
of what I meant.
That makes a lot of sense. So the Kundalini energy is something that is unique to human beings, and it's something inside of us, but it's really connected to uh to consciousness. And when someone has a Kundalini awakening, it's when these chakras are cleared and a person is able to reach a certain experience.
Okay. So when the Kundalini energy becomes active, it begins to rise. It's not as if the Kundalini becomes active and rises and reaches the top level in one day. It's not like that. It's a process. Depending on one's lifestyle, depending on one's sadhana, there's a very interesting word. We call it sadhana. Sadhana means doing those practices, etc., that help us to channel our energies in a way that they can actually help the, the movement higher to higher consciousness. As we continue doing these practices, sadhana, etc., this energy slowly starts moving up the various chakras. As the energy moves up the chakras, we have to understand that there is a pathway. The pathway is called Sushumna. In Sanskrit, the term is Sushumna, Sushumna, Sushumna. This Sushumna Nadi first needs to be cleansed. Nadi means like a channel, like a river, if you want to think of it this way, or a stream. So this channel needs to be cleared because there could be a lot of stuff that is acting upon it and kind of blocking it and so on. This is one of the reasons why sometimes people who start messing around with, I'm using the word messing around responsibly, some people who start messing around with their Kundalini energy, what they don't realize is that the Sushumna is not opened yet. And if the Sushumna is not opened yet, suddenly the surge of energy, it's like a surge of energy, it just comes and starts acting on a certain level. Therefore, sometimes such people can become extremely sexual, extremely, like they're like sex maniacs, for example. Or they could get to this sense where they might go around saying they are God. They're pretending as if they're God and everybody else is not. So, it's a little imbalance in the system. But
Great.
if
So
the
that
sorry.
that was taking me to my next question about how it gets activated. But so that also brings me to a different question, is that I think what you're saying is that you can activate Kundalini energy, but if everything isn't aligned properly, it can get stuck in certain areas and cause some major problems.
Yeah. So activating Kundalini energy. See, in a human being, it's meant to be activated. Human beings have this blessing, if you want to think of it, from life, from whatever. See, we are part of everything that is there. We are certainly part of the earth on which we depend upon for everything that we need, use, and so on. But look at the amount of damage, look at the amount of hurt, pain we are causing other creatures or earth, if you like, generally speaking. Yet the earth tolerates us. For hundreds, thousands of years, we have just been, we've been playing havoc on earth and to earth, yet the earth tolerates us. If we have consciousness, the earth also has a greater consciousness. Everything that is in us, in our body, in our beings, has come from the environment. So therefore, our intelligence, our consciousness has also come in from this environment. So it's not as if we are divorced from the environment. It's not as if we are divorced from the earth. So despite our actions against the earth to such a huge extent, the earth tolerates us. The question is why? In my
Why?
understanding,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, in my understanding, the reason the earth tolerates us is because the earth knows that we are special. The earth wants to give us a long rope, not to hang ourselves, but to learn from our mistakes. Learn from our mistakes and go in the direction that we are supposed to go. So, what is this direction? Raising of consciousness. Remember, as our consciousness rises, the way we look at other life forms, nature, etc., undergoes a big change. We cannot continue doing much of the stuff that we do to the earth once the consciousness begins to rise. So the earth is giving us enough opportunity to learn and to raise our consciousness so that we can move towards greater love, greater acceptance, and to help others also raise their consciousness. If the earth is giving us an opportunity to raise our consciousness, it's also, in a sense, requiring us to raise the consciousness of everything else around us.
That makes sense. If
Mm,
somebody that's listening is interested in raising their consciousness or increasing their spiritual practices and are interested in a Kundalini awakening, but they want to be go about it in a safe and productive manner, what are some of the processes that you would recommend to somebody to do this
mm.
properly?
That's a very, very, big question. But anyway, I'll try and approach it as best as I can. Uh, the best way to start towards Kundalini awakening first is to become more and more authentic. Become more and more authentic, and to ensure that you come to a sense of ease. For example, when we sit in meditation, you may have noticed when we sit in meditation, we are at a certain level of ease. That certain level of ease is critical. Learning to be in that situation, in that position, in that condition where we are at ease helps Kundalini rise. How do we come to this situation, or how do we come to the state of ease or relatively greater ease? Firstly, we have to change a lot inside us. Our interests, our choices, our hobbies, or what we do with our resources, time, and so on. What we do with them is important. If we use these resources to create stresses, tension, etc., in us, we are working against our own ultimate well-being.
So these are some of the things that a person should cultivate and work on for themselves in order to properly cultivate this kind of experience. What are some of the negative effects of having a Kundalini experience if one isn't necessary? I know you've already touched on a couple,
Mm,
like you could
mm,
become extremely sexual or have this God
mm,
complex.
mm,
Could you expand
mm,
on some of the
mm.
negative
Yeah.
things that can happen when it's activated before somebody is ready?
So now think of it this way. Supposing there is a sudden surge of electrical charge or electrical energy through your house. Your wiring is at, say, 200 volts or 220 volts or whatever, and suddenly there is a surge of 400 volts. Something is going to burn out. Something is going to give. Something similar happens also when there is this surge of Kundalini energy without adequate preparation. And what is this adequate preparation? Of all the things that I think are important, being at ease is the most important. Because when you start being at ease, the sushumna automatically starts getting relaxed and open and more active. So that means you can work your way through the sushumna much easily, much easier. As you are able to access and move through the sushumna with greater ease, whenever this energy is activated, it has a clear pathway to move upwards. Even if it goes to a certain level, certain chakra, and stays there for some time, it's not as if it's stuck there. It can easily move. So when Kundalini moves easily at through the sushumna and through the chakras, you will notice that you can actually access different levels of consciousness as required when you go through life. As you go through life, you need to act at different levels of consciousness. You can't be in the crown chakra always. If you're always in the crown chakra and being one at the universe, which is what you are then, and not in terms of intellectual knowing, but in terms of experiential awareness, if you're in that state, how will you function as a human being? You can't. You may not even be able to go and find yourself a meal. So unless there is somebody who's taken, charge of your well-being and is looking after you and ensuring that you're protected, etc., your being in that level of consciousness may actually be a dangerous thing for you. So the idea is to be able to move this relatively easily, relatively easier and easier and easier, so that especially in our final moments, we can consciously raise our energy all the way to the Sahasrara, to the crown chakra, and leave, exit from there. But before that, as long as we continue to live as human beings, if we can use our awareness, our consciousness to help others, to help them raise their consciousness, to show love, to shower love, and make positive changes in the environment around us, I think we're doing very well then.
Thank you so much. For people that experience, like myself, something like a Kundalini experience that's so powerful and has, it was so powerful that it literally turns your world upside down and all the changes that come with it. What advice do you have for people that have a spontaneous awakening or experience and don't know what this is, don't know how to deal with it, and want to find out what steps that they should take now to forward?
Yes. So when the spontaneous Kundalini awakening happens, see, look at the structure of your spine. There is a lower end to it and there is a higher end to it. Think of the upper end as the place for your higher consciousness, and the lower end for your lower consciousness or your lower self, which is ego. As long as your consciousness is at the lower end, you tend to be, looking for ways to survive, somehow, go through life, somehow make ends meet, and keep your body and soul together. That's your primary focus. But when your energy or when your Kundalini suddenly takes you to this and gives you this experience, suddenly everything changes for you, because now suddenly your experience has gone from egoic awareness to your higher awareness, soul awareness, if you want to think of it this way. When you suddenly go into the soul awareness, obviously you're out of touch with the ego awareness and all the drama that one has to go through in life. And one has to go through this drama. See, understand, Kundalini is Shakti. Higher consciousness is Shiva. But Shiva or this higher consciousness needs Shakti to activate it, to stir it, to bring it to life, so to speak. So there is a very interesting way of saying this. Shiva is considered the super god, if you want to think of it this way. Yet Shiva is said to be like a shava, like a corpse without Shakti. So there is a saying that goes, Shiva without Shakti is like Shava. So now, as your energy moves and you have had this experience, all kinds of sudden changes and turmoil may happen. How do you deal with this? I think that is your major question. If you are happy with this and if you're content to be here, by all means continue. But for most, like a little while ago, we spoke about this. For most, it's important to be able to function as human beings. So be grateful for this wonderful experience, but there's no need to, sometimes people who've had some such experience, instead of getting and staying at a higher level of consciousness, their ego suddenly takes over and they say, I have had this experience, so I'm better than you, in a sense. So I am, in a better situation than X, Y, Z, or whatever. That's something to be very, very careful of. That's not okay. That's not okay. So Be aware of your higher consciousness. Try to use the super experience to drive you gradually all the way higher, and in the process, write off all your karmic connections. What are these? No, I shouldn't say karmic connections, but karmic debts. These karmic debts are, stored memory from what may have happened in the past during our lifetime, and sometimes even during the lifetimes of our ancestors or in previous lifetimes. Remember, our genes remember everything. So that memory stays in us at some level. But we need to get over them. Use this bigger awareness to uh, write off the karmic debt. Did I answer your question correctly, or did I go off on a
A
bit of a
little bit,
tangent?
but so for me, part like as much as I want to be grateful for an incredible experience, I can't help but be a little overwhelmed because I lived in a beautiful home. I have a beautiful car. I had my life, my friends, my everything. And
Mm,
all of a sudden,
mm,
I find myself on a completely different path, and it's very
mm,
lonely. My
mm,
financial situation has changed, my home situation, my relationships, everything. And
mm,
I want to remain grateful for the experience and work on cultivating that closeness and that spirituality. But I can't help but think, gosh, I had such a comfortable life before,
mm, mm,
and now
mm,
I need to focus on
mm,
how to accept what's happened and maybe cultivate a daily spiritual practice or something to help me in the process. Do you have
mm,
any advice as along those
mm.
lines?
Yeah. So see, when this higher consciousness begins to take over or begins to draw your energy higher, something drastic happens within and without. Very often, people who are on this path, they find that their external world begins to crumble. Relationships begin to fall off, or fall by the wayside. Sources of income, etc., seem to dry up. Uh, People that were very close to you suddenly can't. Sometimes they can't seem to stand you. It's like, they just don't want to be in your presence. See, remember, it's your energy now. It's a different kind of energy. People react with, or people respond to each other at an energy level. Now, as this energy begins to change and move higher, it's imbued by this higher consciousness. So while the energy is moving to higher consciousness, they are working in consonance, they're working together. And this higher consciousness is now making you radiate a different kind of aura, different kind of energy, and so on, which is hard for others to understand or accept. But don't worry. As this happens, you will be challenged again and again, but you will not be found wanting for the most important things in your life. Whatever is essentially needed by you will just come to you. It's almost like a higher power is now beginning to take control of your life. You may not feel it then. You may feel that if there is this higher power or whatever, it's kind of, forgotten you or disowned you or left you by the wayside or whatever. No, it's looking after your well-being without your being aware that it's actually looking after you. So you'll go through it, things will happen, difficulties may seem to happen, but the most essential things will be provided for you. So don't worry about it.
Oh, I wish I could not worry about it.
No,
It
in
seems
fact,
like
it's important for you not to worry. You have
a
to build this level of connection and trust.
Okay.
See,
Would you recommend, sorry, would you recommend for somebody that is again had this experience without having any idea what it was, that maybe it would be wise to seek out a Kundalini specialist to do exercises and mantras, etc. with? Would that be helpful?
see, Kundalini has become so much of a buzzword. There are people obviously who understand it, know it, and can guide people along the path. But there are so many who are not aware, who may not have gone through any part of this process. And then, if you go to them to guide you, who knows what may be part of your experience? Who can say? That's the challenge. So
So then
yes,
would it
it's
be, sorry, would it be wise then to ask your teacher if they've ever had a Kundalini awakening or experience, or seek out ones that you know through their books or through their blogs or through their podcasts that they've experienced that?
see, usually teachers who've had, this movement of the Kundalini awakening, they don't go around tom-tomming this fact. They don't go around, beating that drum. Hey, my Kundalini has awakened. Hey, I'm enlightened or whatever. They don't do that. They just go through their life like common folk. Sometimes you will not even know that somebody that you're dealing with could be somebody who's actually gone quite ahead in this field or along this path. So what you need to do is you have to be able to find that discernment within you to see, what is authentic and what is a play, what is, because in today's world a lot of play acting happens, and we can't blame anybody. I would say even those so-called teachers or gurus who pretend to be gurus or whatever, even they are playing an important role because they are teaching people at some level, and sometimes ensuring that people are disillusioned, also an important thing. Ultimately, everyone has to walk the path internally. Everyone is unique, and the search and the movement. See, it's Shakti within you, and it's Shiva within you. Consciousness is within you, energy is within you. So by all means, read up a little, connect with some people or someone who's known to have had some understanding and who has been able to guide people and so on. By all means, connect with them and see. But ultimately, try to connect with the inner guru. And I think there is no better inner guru than the breath itself. Breath is such a powerful inner guru. The breath, life begins with the first breath, it ends with the last breath, and in between, it can do so much. It's amazing. But breath is something we always ignore.
Yes.
To me the breath is very special because I'm also you don't see it here, but there is a uh, consciousness called Hanumanji, God, or whatever word you wish to use for that. I think of it as a certain level of consciousness called Hanumanji. Hanumanji is seen to be a child or son of wind, which is the breath. So it's and he's considered the the god of breath in a sense. At least that's how I see it. Hanumanji is my guide. He takes me along the path. He makes everything clear to me. So the more I connected with my breath, the closer and still closer I came to Hanumanji. So connect with your breath. Sorry.
I'm walking away from the kitchen, got a little bit noisy.
Okay.
Yeah, that actually brings me to a point and then another question. Um, I would have never believed until I had the experience that breathing had
Mm,
such an incredible effect, because I thought,
mm,
hey, I breathe every day. Nothing
mm.
miraculous happens except
That's
for
right.
life itself. But then for the most incredible and profound thing to happen to me just from changing the rhythm of my breathing shows me that anything is possible. And one of the reasons that I'm working with you are for not just the growth spiritually, but the effects that it has on our health physiologically. Could you talk about some of the
Oh,
health benefits
yes.
and the things that you're able to help people with through breath
Yes.
work?
Sure. My early experiences with breath work, I started I didn't start consciously to become a breath watcher. I gradually moved into it as I started belly breathing. So when I started with belly breathing, I just paid a little more attention whether belly breathing was happening or not, and what I needed to do to let it happen, and so on. So the operative word is not doing belly breathing, but it's letting it happen. So in my videos, I often emphasize this because that shows a level of ease. And you remember I spoke about how being at ease is important. So as you come to be, in that state of ease and belly breathing starts happening, changes happen. So I started becoming a breath watcher because of that. And as I continued doing that, and I saw that my stress levels had come down, my hypertension had come down, I had to take medication for hypertension. But after some time of this, I did not need it and I gave up the medication. So the more I went deeper, the deeper I went with breathing and the exploration of breath, I found that the breath could actually heal so many different and varying conditions. At one stage, I'd gone through my own personal challenges and so on and so forth. And I had to leave India and go to China for a long period of time, almost 15 years, in fact. And actually, it was stressful in its own ways. China, with its communist regime, etc., can be a little scary, if you like. They weren't. They were wonderful people. So it's not like I was harmed in any way. But anyway, that fear that and so on used to be there. So when this started happening, I had developed a condition called ED that affects men, erectile dysfunction. But somehow I had a feeling that breath had a cure. I kept looking, I kept trying different kinds of things, etc. And then slowly I discovered that actually it was reversed. I once had a condition called COPD because I used to be a very heavy smoker, 40 cigarettes a day for 20 years. That's a lot of smoking. And 40 years of smoking and all. But then with breath work and a technique that I now call the Shvaskosh Kriya. Shvaskosh means the lungs. Shuddhi means purification. Kriya means technique or practice to cleanse the lungs. So, lung purification technique is what I call it in English. So, when I started doing the lung purification technique, it just happened to me. As I would do my breath work, etc., I started experimenting, and then I started experimenting and getting super results. So my breathing became much better, much easier, much lighter. And because I had to struggle for my breath as a COPD patient, to me that was a big godsend. To me that was a big relief. And naturally it pulled me closer and deeper into breath work and what breath could do. Then there was a time when I had a condition called fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a condition where there is a lot of or nerve pain along the back or shoulders and so on and so on, and it tends to move. One night while sleeping, as a Hanumanji ka, you know, as a devotee of Hanumanji, and I'm in pain. And that I say, Hanumanji, do something. I mean, this creature is in so much pain. Do something. He did nothing. But 2 nights later, I automatically breathed in a certain way. I said, wow, looks like my pain is a little less, just a touch less, but less. I'm a breath watcher, so I observe. And then I tried it a little longer, and I said, yeah, it's definitely making some effect or impact on my pain. Next morning, when I did my freehand exercises, etc., I did some of that. And exercises which used to be very painful because of fibromyalgia felt a little easier, a little less painful. I continued and continued. It took a while because I had nobody guiding me. It was something I was doing out of instinct, out of Hanumanji's inner guidance, if you like. It took almost a month, but in a month it was almost totally cleared, and it's never come back. Similarly, once I had a condition called sciatica. You have this pain
Yeah,
from the buttocks down, radiates down towards the legs, and so on.
a lot of
Cured
people have
also. Yeah, a lot of people have that. Cured also with this. And in fact, even recently, some people that I've been guiding have reported about how they have seen the pain almost disappear within days. If it's a recent pain, it's easy to work on it. If it's an old pain, it might take a little longer. Then a condition called hemorrhoids or piles, your the anus begins to kind of swell and sometimes bleed, etc. Can be painful, can also lead to complications in the future. And because of my lifestyle and whatever, I also developed this condition called piles. But then breathwork cured it,
Wow.
and
That's amazing.
it keeps coming. By the way, it's not as if it never comes. If I sit long or on the toilet seat, sometimes if you feel a little constipated for whatever reason and you tend to sit a little longer, the condition can recur. But within hours, it's gone again, just with that breath work.
That's amazing. I know
Mm,
that in America, especially with our food supply and our crazy diets, that gut
mm,
issues have become a
mm.
really big problem.
Serious problem.
And
Yes.
and I know that that's something else that you help with, and that's something that you and
Mm,
I have even
mm.
discussed for my own self. Can you touch on
Yes.
that? Like how you
Yes.
kind of didn't you say something to me like about how breath work is almost like a hospital or
A
something where you
multi-specialty hospital.
yes, yes. I like that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, because see, I've showed how I reverse conditions like ED, COPD, fibromyalgia, sciatica, piles, and so many other small conditions. Okay, so about a year ago, I had to go through some tooth issues, my own stupid reasons, but whatever. So when I went to the dentist, they did whatever they had to do, and it led to formation of pus over there, some kind of uh, growth over there. And they extracted two teeth, very, very painful. And I still, two teeth are still missing from here. I do wear dentures for them sometimes, but two teeth are missing. And then after that, the swelling that had developed here became almost like a tumor. It just wouldn't go. Hard, no feeling, nothing. That's how tumors tend to be, I think. Just a hard lump of something here. And just then, unfortunately, a friend's wife had gone through something similar and she was diagnosed with jaw cancer. She was treated, she got the best treatment, etc. And she seemed to be coming out of it. Unfortunately, she's no more. Om Shanti. I mean, she passed away later, but anyway, when this was happening, I got a scare that I have something similar. And I said, if something like this happens, I wouldn't want to burden my family with the treatment for cancer because that can be prohibitive, can be very expensive, good treatment. So I said, now what do I do? I turned to breath. As I did the Hanuman master breath, I think you've learned some of it as well. When you channel your breath up the spine. As I as I as I did the Hanuman master breath, I would move that breath up and make it wash over the jaw, as if it's washing over the jaw. And would you believe, in 5 days that tumor or tumescent thing was gone. Hello, doggy. I In 5 days that was gone. I would show my wife. I would show my wife every day. See, it seems a little less than earlier. It seems a little less than earlier. And in 5 days it was gone.
That is
Just by
amazing.
moving, just by moving the breath and washing it over this area. So now if there is a back pain or like fibromyalgia, etc., I teach people, I encourage people to do this, use the breath, wash it over that area, and see how quickly it begins to affect you and bring relief and so on. So these are some of the things that I can readily recall, but there are many other and small things that happen which I just cure with breath.
Um, there's a lot of people that are able to, what I've read, and I'm curious about your experience, is that they're able to heal a lot of trauma that's happened from this lifetime, being in
Mm,
the womb, and sometimes even past lives, energy that has been caught up in the body, releasing stress.
mm.
Is this something that you agree with or that you've had experience with as well?
Mm. See, everybody in life goes through some kind of trauma. There's nobody who's free of trauma. So, what is trauma? Trauma is basically some painful things that have happened to us that we either cannot forget or forgive. We hold on to those pains, to those memories, etc. And in a sense, we fall in love with them. In a sense, they are also stored in our chakras. Chakra emotions, for example, emotions are stored in chakras, or chakras are where these emotions are released. I don't know if you're aware of this, but chakras are, in that sense, the storehouse of different kinds of emotions. So if your lower chakras are active, for example, if your Muladhara is active and you're in a state of worry, then you will wonder how to make a living, how to get your next piece of bread, if you like, in some cases. But basically, worries about how to survive. Then memory connected, for example, with guilt and so on, fear. These are all connected with the lower chakras. And obviously, there is a role of memory here. We get triggered when something like this happens. If you do your breath work, like you've seen earlier, like when we were talking, you can move your energy higher. You can move your energy higher, which means think of your computer. You're sitting in front of a computer. You have different drives on your computer. If you click on one drive, whatever files are on that particular drive, they become available to you. But the others are closed to you. But if you close that drive and access and click on another drive, whatever is on the other drive becomes available to you. And you can work on that. So think of your chakras also similarly. If your energy is able to move up the spine, and the Hanuman master breath helps beautifully to do that. And it doesn't take years to learn it, weeks, even less sometimes. And you've done some of it already yourself. I actually teach some of this for free. I've shared videos online on Facebook, etc. And I'm very happy to teach people so that more and more people are able to take advantage of this.
That's
And in
wonderful.
in fact, it's
How would, sorry,
sorry.
how would people find you on Facebook? Where should they go?
On Facebook, I'm Rajesh Kanoi, Rajesh Kanoi, and they can find me there. But otherwise, even on social, I'm on YouTube as well. I'm on WhatsApp. If you like, if you think you need to give my number, you can add my number and
I'll
give
share.
people access. Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
also have I'll have them add your contact details and the link to
yeah,
this as
yeah,
well. So that's
yeah. Sure,
perfect. Thank
sure,
you.
sure.
I
Yeah.
remember in one of our early classes when I
Mm,
just thought, hey, we're doing exercises, and I got
mm,
dizzy and then started crying, and I don't like to
mm,
cry, and I
mm,
never do it
mm.
in public. So that was like, whoa, what just
But
happened to me?
yeah, so see, because you are you may be going through your situation or challenges, etc., but you're obviously at a level of ease. So when you were doing those exercises, your energy was able to move. You were able to dislodge your energy from wherever it was stuck to a different level. When you brought it to a different chakra, it started, opening a new drive in a sense. And as it opened that new drive, whatever was stored there, whatever you had maybe repressed because you didn't want to face it,
Yeah,
suddenly came upon you.
yeah,
It came upon you, and then it triggered that response, where you felt overwhelmed, and tears flowed. In some ways, it's good. In some ways, it's good that tears flow because something is opening up.
yeah. I think for a lot of CEOs or business owners in general, even executives, that a lot of times we have to put on a face, and we deal with a lot of people and employees and staff and etc. And
Mm,
we always have to be okay, and we
mm,
don't show our emotions. And I think that that can
mm,
lead to a lot of, I know that before I
mm,
started doing the breath work, I had overwhelming amounts of stress and
mm,
anxiety. And I
mm,
saw after only a few weeks of doing breath
mm,
work that the stress and the anxiety
mm, mm,
were like it cut in half at least.
mm,
And that's a
mm,
big difference. That's a big
mm.
difference.
I can understand. You were employing about 100 people, if I remember right, you'd mentioned earlier. So, I can understand what you have to go through. And in the US especially, that facade, that mask is so important. I totally understand. In India, it's not as overwhelming as that. But even so, I'm sure it does. I'm not a CEO, so I wouldn't know. But I'm sure there is the people who do have challenges, on these lines. But yeah, if they bottle up stress, if they bottle up all these emotions, then see, it's like bottling up poison. If
Mm,
you keep this poison bottled up inside you, it's going to start destroying something within you. So it's best to find ways to release them, overcome, or dilute them. Best to get them out of the system. Belly breathing is a wonderful technique every CEO should use. Start with belly breathing. You started with belly breathing as well, right? And then that's
yes.
when, after that, we went on to the exercises and so on, and you saw how they impacted you. So start with belly breathing. It'll bring a certain level of ease. And then others, if they want to go deeper, do the Hanuman Master Breath. And I share the Hanuman Master Breath free as well. The videos on my Facebook group called Hanuman Master Breath. It's a
Oh,
group by
wonderful.
this name, Hanuman Master Breath, and it's available for people to watch and practice. And there's a small brief write up as well. I tried downloading it from there so that I could post it on Facebook or on YouTube, but I couldn't download for some reason. But anyway, I'll make it someday. I'll make a new one someday.
Okay, maybe I can
Mm.
help you with it.
Okay, why not?
Um,
Mm,
okay, I think that we've covered everything that I wanted to ask you. I do know that like for people that don't understand belly breathing, when I first came to you
mm,
and you wanted me to belly breathe, it took me like really relaxing
mm,
because I was
mm,
only breathing in my chest.
mm,
And
mm,
that was the problem. Like it
mm,
mentioned, it doesn't allow you to heal. So the only time I'm
mm,
belly breathing is if I'm completely asleep and the body is relaxed, where we
mm,
really need to
mm,
get into the state of being relaxed and
mm,
breathing from our bellies
mm,
during the daytime. And I think that
mm.
that's a whole nother fascinating
Yeah,
conversation. But it was
sure.
wonderful for me to learn. And look, our time is up. I think that we covered everything.
Okay.
I'm incredibly grateful to be working with you, and I really appreciate all of your time. Is there anything else that you would like to share on this
I'm
topic?
Yeah, yeah. I'm also very grateful that I had this opportunity to work with you, and you're a wonderful person to work with. You are so receptive. You accept these new techniques, etc., etc., and therefore they work on you like that as well. You get results so quickly. You started by breathing till maybe here, as you say, but then you discover that your breath could actually go all the way down to your perineum, to the Muladhara, the base chakra.
Yeah.
Then you discover that there is another channel that goes from that area all the way up to towards the crown.
Mhm.
And then you discover a third channel, which we are just about starting to work on.
Yes.
So your understanding of breath experientially is so different than most people's understanding. Most people therefore continue to breathe shallow throughout their lives. They do not understand that in yoga we speak of five koshas, or five sheaths, or five bodies: the physical body, the mental body, the energy body, the knowledge body, and the bliss body.
Wow.
So most of us are stuck in the physical body or in the mental body. But as we begin to operate, or as we begin to charge, or use our energy body, we can overcome this obsession with the physical and the mental, and go almost hack into the knowledge body. The moment we start hacking into the knowledge body, it's like information, knowledge, clarity, insights, they just start flowing into us. when they start flowing into us, our outlook, our approach, etc., towards life and whatever drama is there in life begins to change quickly. And that's how, in fast results begin to come our way. So these are things that people need to become aware that breath can, lead them way, way, way higher than whatever they are used to their highest potential as human beings.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and wrap up this video, and then I have a couple of
Okay.
questions for you, okay?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll close for now, and then we'll
Yeah.
continue our, yeah. All right.